if something is on your heart and in your
Mhm.
mind and it doesn't leave you, there's
Yeah.
a reason for it. And I truly believe that. And anything that I've stepped aside of my comfort zone to do is because I've had that same gnawing feeling every single time, and it's never steered me wrong. You have to kind of learn to be able to let go of certain things and keep pushing on in another direction and be okay with it and not condemn yourself for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chandra, for joining us in the studio today. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm wonderful. Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure. Honestly, I see you making big moves out here, and I'm so inspired by what you're doing and your business, and as a Black woman. So I had to get you on the show. That was like I was so excited about it. So,
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah. And I saw that you were recently in New York Fashion Week, right?
Yes, I was. That was something else for sure. That was definitely an
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, we'll dive into all that. You can tell us about it and everything. First off, I always love to kind of just get a little backstory on you, how you got started. I know you're also a dancer. You're big in the hip
Yeah.
hop scene, so
Yeah.
yeah, just feel free to share whatever you like.
Okay. Well, funny enough, the fashion and the dancing is, they're my two passions, and they actually kind of both assisted me in my journey. I started off, when I was younger, I started off with the typical, retail jobs, getting my foot in the door, and dabbling in all levels of retail, right? Whether it be visual merchandiser, stylist, manager, things like that. And I fell in love with styling. I went to school for fashion, but I started my actual styling consulting business right after I graduated from George Brown. And from there, I've been styling for now, I think it's 16 years I've been doing it.
Oh,
And it was my love. In the midst of that, I never really thought of myself as a designer per se, even though as a child I was all sketching, I was all putting outfits together, I was all doing little things, but I didn't draw the connection until later on when I was doing what I was doing and realized that I was actually already kind of designing things for my clients and really focusing on keeping them looking like themselves, but in their most enhanced, most improved selves, and just keeping their individuality and their unique qualities. I'm an avid thrifter, have been since middle school. And I used to go with my aunt. I still do, actually. It was always, yeah, it was kind of more taboo back then because, I went to a private school and it wasn't something that you saw a lot of people doing. Everyone was kind of more into the design and stuff and whatever. And I didn't have those funds, honey. So I just have to make my looks work. And so that's kind of where my love started doing that. So I carried that into my adulthood. And, I really saw the value in breathing new life into old forgotten items. And as I was doing that for my clients, because I work with clients from all different budgets, right? So as I was doing that for certain clients and myself as well, because I would kind of always want to just make things my own. I don't really, the idea of just looking like everybody else kind of isn't my thing. So I was just trying to
yeah,
just like
yeah.
change it up and make it something that I personally would love. And I just kind of got the idea one day, I feel like other people would also enjoy that aspect of celebrating individuality. And I kind of ran with it. So it was something that, for years it was on my mind, but I didn't actually bring it to fruition until 2017. It's just been kind of going, I've had a lot of ups and downs and changes, but that's what happens when you run your own business, right? You pivot and you just keep it pushing. So I did a lot of that, and by the grace of God, I ended up at New York Fashion Week, and it was the experience of a lifetime. You know what I mean? I remember telling, anyone who knows me knows that I've talked about New York. Anyone who's close to me, that's always something I've kind of just said. Just like, yeah, like I'm like, next thing you know, girl, New York Fashion Week, and so this all the thing. But then the opportunity was actually brought to me, and I don't believe in coincidences. So I took them up on it. I had a agency reach out to me and asked me if I wanted to show my designs, and I was like, you know what, now or never kind of thing. So I did it, and yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing. The experience, the exposure, the people I got to meet, you know, uh, and just being able to celebrate all my kind of trials and successes all in one, at that show was everything. So it meant a lot to me for sure.
Oh, I just love that so much for you. How exciting. Who motivates you in life? Like, who inspires you and pushes you that's like closest to you?
I'm just motivated by spreading joy and confidence. That's kind of my actual main motivation every day. What I do is knowing that it's going to make someone happy. It's going to make someone feel better about themselves. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
I have obviously people in my life, I have great parents. I've been more than supportive throughout, and for my whole life, really, because I've always been a creative kid. So they always they tapped into that very early, and had me in all the dance and all the acting and all the things, and never really made me feel awkward or ashamed of being more so focused on the creative than anything else. And they were there. They came to New York with me, for New York Fashion Weeks. I want to experience that with them. So they definitely keep me inspired, and motivated to give them the best kind of life that they could have as well. I don't do it just for myself. And my close friends who really support me, they all have a big hand in kind of keeping me motivated to keep going, no matter what kind of things I experience on a daily basis, because it definitely hasn't been an easy road. But my real true purpose is just making sure that no one ever feels like they can't. No one or incapable of feeling their best, doing their best, looking their best. You know what I mean? So that's my main reason for doing all of it, for the styling, the designs, everything. I just love seeing people's confidence go from 0 to 1,000 in a matter of 2 seconds to put on a jacket. You know what I mean? It's really quite wild to see. So that definitely keeps me going.
Wow. Wow, that is super inspiring. I'm inspired just having this conversation with you. That is epic. That is epic. It's funny because I know that you've done work with our nonprofit, and I personally didn't get a chance to meet you, and you just kept coming up on
Seeds
not
That
just
Bloom.
my feed. Yes, the Seeds That Bloom. Yeah, you did a dance program with us. Yeah.
That was amazing. Yeah. I loved it.
I hope we're
Loved
able
it.
to put those on, because we would love to have you back again for more of that. That was just really exciting.
Absolutely.
And are you still working with the girl as well? Is she still one of your students?
Yes, we've been working together for over a year now. We do privates. She's grown leaps and bounds. It's like, I call her my mini me for a reason, because she's just awesome. And to this day we're still working together. She's joined other dance groups too now. It kind of fed her desire to get more into it, performing more. So I can't, I guess it makes my soul sing. It really does. So it brings me so much joy to just see people progress and grow like that. It was awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you for
Wow.
that opportunity. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we do what we do. That's the whole point of what the Seeds That Bloom is really about. So that really warms my heart too, and helps me feel like my cup is full. So I know
100%. Yeah,
gonna...
there's always there's a reason for all of it, for sure. Yeah,
definitely, right? And I'm learning more and more every day that we don't need to know what that reason is. It's just gonna happen. That's all part of God's plan. And we just put in the work, like you said, do the next right thing, and everything else will fall into place. So yeah, that's really great. It's really great.
Listen, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I'll tell you that is the center of all the things for me personally, right? It's the fact that I've literally just followed a calling. And I know that's something that a lot of people may say, and it can start to become cliche when people don't really explain it, but it truly is. If something is on your heart and in your mind and it doesn't leave you, there's a reason for it. And I truly believe that. And anything that I've stepped aside of my comfort zone to do is because I've had that same gnawing feeling every single time, and it's never steered me wrong. That feeling in itself is what led me to New York Fashion Week, is what led me to, even start teaching. I had wanted to, it's funny, timing of this is funny. I actually just finished up some renovations at my home, and I was going through, you have to go through, declutter, go through all your things that you might be holding on to and hoarding, so I was going through some things, and I came across an old project. I think it was from grade 8 or 9. And I was like, why do I still have, it's so random. I know, young. It's been a minute. I looked at it, and it was just talking about, I think it was a project I did for career day or something. And it literally said, my goal is to inspire, teach, become a dancer, choreographer, do all these things. And I had it listed in my jot notes. And I looked at it, and I was like, it just took me back, because that was always something. Again, I've always talked about the things I've wanted to do. The fashion stuff, I was always interested in it, always been my thing. Dance started when I was 4. Always was just very interested in it. There wasn't a single dance movie that came out in the 2000s that I didn't learn all the choreography to, before I started training professionally. So I always immersed myself in the things I love, and I figured that at some point in time it would come in handy. You know what I mean? So, but when I came across that was just kind of another. I get a lot of these confirmation moments, I believe, that are from a higher power. That's just kind of like, yeah, you're on the right track. Like, this is something you want to do, you're doing it, and to sit in that gratitude. Because a lot of times we get caught up in the rat race, right? We get caught up in the go, 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 and hustle and bustle. And that's literally like, that's me to a T. Like, I will fully admit that. I'm that person that, like, one thing barely done, and I'm already on to the next, right? Learning to sit in it, learning to really appreciate where you're at and how far you come is not an easy thing when you're kind of overly ambitious, but it's 100% necessary. Moments like that, I don't really take for granted anymore. I really try to appreciate them. Like, yeah, okay, you know what? You are doing exactly what you're supposed to do, because you were, what, 12, 13, and you were sitting there like, no, this is what I'm going to do. So yeah, it's been amazing.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And that's what we mean when we say ending generational curses, right? Like, you're literally right? You're the example of what we're all striving for. Because whether it's, obviously in the long term, you're going to create a whole bunch of generational wealth, not just for you, but for the generations that are going to come after you. And like, really, girl, I'm affirming that for you. I'm affirming that for you.
I appreciate it.
I got you.
Guys. Yeah,
Thank you.
Whenever you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone and do things that normally you would shy away from, things like that, that's how you know, like, you know what, there's something bigger here. Like, this is actually, this is more purpose driven, right? Because you're kind of like, I don't really care about the outcome. I'm just going to try. I'm just going to do it. And assume and hope and pray that it's going to lead me to where I'm supposed to go. Typically it does. And even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, which things I feel like things rarely do, it's usually exactly how you want them to. But it's the knowing how to take what you need from it and then continue on and just learn each lesson is the big thing. So you even just doing that and stepping outside and being like, okay, this makes me a little nervous, but you know what? I guess I really feel like I need to do it. Because you have to. You're supposed to, right? So that's so awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. And like I feel like when we get to this point too, we're okay with the rejection because we know there's something greater on the other side. Like we have to take the rejection. Yeah. Right.
Because anytime, so I say this to my close friends all the time. I'm like, you know what? One thing about me is I'm never gonna be afraid of a no. I'm never gonna be afraid of someone not getting it. I'm never gonna be afraid of any of that. And especially when we're in a kind of like this society where it's so heavily judged and everything is kind of put through the ringer and everything's so public, right? You open yourself up to a lot of criticism always. It doesn't matter how divine your calling is or what you may be trying to do. There's always going to be someone who doesn't quite get it or it doesn't resonate with them or what have you. I always tell people, like, people who are sitting on ideas that they've had for years and they're just like, but it's just not, I don't know. What people think is not my business. I'm very worried about people. Like, hey, listen to this, honey. Like, if you, because we can be in a room with 50 people, and if 40 of those people are like, not my thing, but there's 10 that are in love with it, and it resonates with them, and it speaks to them, and even inspires them or motivates them to take their next step. I've done my job. Like, I don't look at it as failure. You know what I mean? And that's not an easy mindset to have nowadays. And trust me, I have my good days and bad days. I'm human, but for the most part, I'm always like, those who are meant to, who it's for, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing it for. And I've found that that's helped me to stop chasing, validation or acceptance and really focusing more on attracting like who and what's actually meant for me. And it's, when I tell you, it's been life changing and really, really kind of crazy at times, to the point that I'm like, I feel like sometimes I'm just standing still and things are just, and I can't even explain it. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, you know what, I don't even question it no more. But I'm a very inquisitive person, but these days I've learned to just kind of hush and take it in and be like, okay, I move with it. So
yeah, I love
that's
that.
the best place to be.
I love that so much. It reminds me of this video I saw recently of this. She's a bobsled like athlete, and she's running on the treadmill like really low down, and like she's running super fast, and like to everyone else it looks super weird. And then it cuts scene to her like running beside her bobsled, and it just makes all the sense now. It's like, and then it's like what you're doing doesn't need to make sense to everyone else. That
analogy right there, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, because like if you think about even your own journey, right? So, like, I'm sure that there was times when you're like, you're really in the midst of something, but people around you, maybe even sometimes your closest people, because it happens, right? We all kind of go through different seasons. might be looking at you side eye and you're like, you good? Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Or why are you trying so hard, at this one thing? Or why are you so determined? And it's really, it's like, you know what? You're not obligated to answer to them. At the same time, or overly explain yourself. Because that's another thing that I find that, like, when you're not sure or you have your own insecurities, right, you feel the need to kind of over-explain yourself to people or like really hope that they get it, and make them understand. And at the end of the day, it's like those who are determined to not understand it will never understand it. It doesn't matter what verbiage you use. It doesn't matter how you put it. You know what I mean? So again, that's why I started with saying it's not my business. Because the thing is, like, it ain't my business. Like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. You just don't get it. It's fine. And just keep it pushing. And some people will understand it, some people won't. But your journey is your journey. Same way I may not understand everyone else's journey, but I love that for them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big, like, hey, it may not be my thing, I not whatever, but I will all congratulate people who I see putting in that effort, who I see even just trying something, because I know just how hard it is to do that. Right. Even just to get to the point of putting something out there or taking a step or whatever, I'm always just like, yo, kudos, you got this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
You see more of that.
That's great. Honestly, it's funny because I just feel like I'm sitting here having a conversation with a friend, and it's crazy that I just met you.
I know people say this all the time, but it's true. When you're aligned, when you have a certain frequency that someone else can pick up on, it's almost like a natural, again, attraction, right?
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to work so hard for it. It's not a fight. It comes so naturally, and it all just kind of clicks. And it's like, yeah, that's what I've been, like, she gets it. Like, that's what I've been trying to say. I'm feeling very, very reassuring, right? So I appreciate it too, girl. It says, you're very easy to talk to. So
Thank you. Thank you. And that's actually how I meditated on what to call my business. And I knew it was something creatives, and I meditated on the other word for so long, and then magnetic just came to me. And I'm like, this is it. This is the name, and like,
what were you talking about? Attraction,
the frequency and aligning, and it's all there, girl. It's all there.
It's all there.
It's all there. And once I learned about our magnetic pull inside of us as well too, that was it. I'm like, this is perfect. It's perfect, man.
Yeah.
So I do have some other questions for you, basically in regards to like challenges and struggles and your triumphs. So why don't you start with your triumphs and the some of the highlights other than New York Fashion Week, because I know that's a big one.
Sweet, for sure. I say I'm the kind of person that I look at the small wins too, the small wins, quote unquote, because I don't really believe any wins are small. It's a win is a win. I probably it's funny. This is one thing I say that I really noticed. Something like New York Fashion Week, it was because it's so widely acclaimed and known to everybody, right? The reaction that I'm getting for doing that, from those who acknowledged it and understood what it was, I was so grateful for it. But I also realized that a lot of people focus on that mainly, and not all the other years of work that I may have done previously.
Right.
I didn't. It wasn't that I was taking offense to it, but I just took it in and realized, like, that's the thing, right? Like, for me, other people can see it that way, and that's cool. But for me, I look at every single win I've had for all the years I've been doing this, and they more or less feel pretty similar to me, because it's just to me, it's just another kind of milestone. It's another accolade, right? I've been published several times over at this point, internationally, in different magazines with my styling work and stuff. Thank you. From Paris, LA, over in Africa as well. Different, and it's all meant to look to me, right? No matter what it was, because I've always had these dreams and visions of, my name in a magazine, and I didn't know in what form that would come, right? I always thought, to be honest, I was going to be living my Devil Wears Prada best life. Like, I really thought I was going to be wearing Priestley, and I was going to be editor-in-chief of a magazine, and that's really what I wanted, because I love writing. I love all those things, and did that in college too. So I was like, yeah, okay, like, so I'm like, yeah, maybe that's what's gonna happen. So I kind of thought like I'd be like writing articles and doing that kind of thing, as a style editor. And so, but to be able to still have those moments where I have these, I can look at these tier sheets and see, styling in my name, it's surreal to me every time. It's just because that's just what I've always wanted to. That's what I've always worked towards, but you never know if it's ever going to actually come true, right? You just work your hardest and see what happens. So, so definitely the publications was a big thing to me, and I've been nominated for quite a few different awards. I was nominated for the RBC Women of the Year Business Award, I believe, twice. Canadian Choice Award. I'm currently nominated for the Black Fashion Beauty Gala Award as Fashion Styles of the Year. So that event's in November, so I'm excited to go to that. So I've actually never been to a gala award show, oddly enough. Like all the different nominations I've had have all been sent to me, and I've had them, but I've never gone to actually go to the award show. So this is actually a really cool experience I'm going to have. So I'm looking forward to that. It's I've worked with some really great people too. I've worked with some great artists. I've done music videos. I've done film and TV, stuff like that. So I've met some really cool people in the industry. I'm also working with, I don't know if you're familiar with Fashion Santa. I worked with him. He's a gentleman that is in all the high editorial fashion magazines, especially during Christmas time. White beard. He's Canadian. His name is Paul Mason. Just fantastic. He's walked a lot of runways. He's awesome. Working with him was really cool because he's someone I actually had seen a lot, and I grew up watching, fashion television, right, with Jeannie Becker back in the day and stuff like that. So seeing people like that and then getting to see them in real life and also work with them has been really awesome. And that's probably one of my main first campaigns that I did, where it was in an international magazine, I believe, that spread. So that meant a lot to me. There's been so many moments that I really, really cherish, and to me, it's the connections I've made along the way as well. There's people I've worked with, years ago, but we still kind of keep up with each other and still give each other congratulations on projects and stuff like that. And it's, you never really know who's watching your journey, but it's making those connections that really mean a lot to me, because you get to, it's creatives finding creatives, right? And so it hits a little bit different, right? Yeah. So, but definitely, even just having my own clothing line is a triumph to me. You know what I mean? Because I never thought I could, to be honest with you. I've always wanted to. It was always something that I was like, that'd be really cool. But I was like, who am I to be having, like, what do you mean? Like, wow. I didn't think it was a tangible thing. And even though I studied in school and done all the things, I was just like, I don't know. And so, but again, going back to that whole idea we were talking about of just having, if a dream doesn't leave you, it's meant to happen. So I took a leap of faith and did that, and so for it to end up taking me to somewhere like New York Fashion Week years later is really wild. Having seeing my name on a billboard in Times Square is crazy, right? Like that's not something I even when I've had it on a billboard in Dundas Square as well when I did Startup Fashion Week. You know what I mean? And that was the first time that's happened, where I saw my logo there, and I was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like that triumph is just as big as in Times Square. It's just a different feeling, right? Because it's just in a different location. That just having that moment, stuff like that, it means a lot to me. So wow. I'm very, very, very grateful for all of it, for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Yeah. That's really great.
So that's ups. I know with the ups always comes the downs too. Right. For me, when it comes to struggle, I know you're asking about that. I think that it really, for me, my struggles, a lot of it, to be very honest with you, were from within. They were from myself. It just comes with doubt, insecurity, not feeling like you necessarily belong. Especially when you're in an industry like this, it's very easy to feel like, that imposter syndrome. Right? You're surrounded by people that, like, maybe you've grown up watching, or you see people doing what they do at such a high level, and you're like, what am I doing here? How did I sneak in the door? Like, it doesn't make no sense. Like, you want me here? Like, for sure? Like, so it's definitely a lot of those sort of moments that happen. So getting to a point where I actually could say, yeah, I do belong here, or yeah, this isn't a mistake. They're asking you here for a reason. I'm getting comfortable with saying that to myself without feeling like I'm being arrogant or boastful or being like whatever. That was always a little hard for me, because I've always I'm someone who typically, like, even just telling you my accolades is weird to me. You know what I mean? I'm someone who typically, like, just shows them. So I love having, that's why I have my websites. That's why I have my, I like having my Instagram, where I can have like a visual kind of representation of my resume, essentially, right? Yeah. So I don't have to speak it, because it it sounds weird to me. But again, it's something I
Right.
have to get comfortable with being like, no, you can say these things because you've done these things. It's not,
Right.
you're not bragging. You know what I mean? That's also that's a shift in mindset mainly, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
that's been a really hard thing. I've had moments where I've had to pivot overall because anytime, and these are all lessons, right? But anytime you're working with anyone, outside of yourself, things can happen too. I mean, people are people, right? Everyone's a little bit different. So when you're collaborating or you're working with other people, you're gonna have hiccups sometimes because you may not always see things the same way. And in those times, I've had to, as usual, I've had to just pivot, right? I've had to realize, okay, this maybe isn't working for what we're looking to do or whatever, and you pivot and you realize that no, you don't have to necessarily do it in any kind of malicious or harmful way. It's just a matter of, okay, well, what's best for what you're trying to put forward, right? And if it's not meshing, it's not meshing. That's okay sometimes. Like, I feel like people sometimes they really try to force things because they don't want to be mean, or they kind of or on the flip side, they're overly rude for no reason because there's no need, because that's the way that they have to be assertive. And it's like,
Right.
no, that's not how it has to be. You can definitely get your point across, and still be respect, right? So I've learned a lot of these lessons along the way, and just being kind of learning to navigate the industry, especially when you're a female as well, and you run your own businesses. It's definitely something that you have to pivot and move a little bit differently sometimes, depending on what rooms you're in, right? Because a lot of times you're not necessarily seen as capable, or you're not necessarily seen as you're not taken that serious, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it really is, because I have to negotiate contracts, I have to do all these things, and I have to do that with full grown men, and I mean, like, by myself. And it's I'm not afraid to do it because I know I'm a businesswoman after all, so I'm a good son. But it is, you have to kind of, the approach has to change sometimes with the company you're keeping, because sometimes they'll try to get one over on you, and if you're not savvy, or if you're not able to speak up for yourself, you'll lose out, right? So again, these are all things that over all the years I've been doing this, I've learned year after year. It's always been some type of lesson. I've had to work on it, work hard on, like, hey, Chaendra, you're gonna have to speak up for yourself because no one's gonna do it for you. You know what I mean? And you have to advocate for yourself too, because if you're not your biggest cheerleader, why would anyone else care?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to be very honest with yourself, right? It's definitely been stuff like that. I'm trying to also navigating relationships and just, like, garnering support and things like that for certain things. This, again, you have to kind of just learn that you can't control others, right? Everyone's, again, if they're not meant to get it, they're not meant to get it, and that's okay. But just knowing that, again, if you're gonna kind of put your energy somewhere, it should always be into what you love and to those who want to see you win. You know what I mean? That's really where the main focus should be. Because why else? Like, why would you put your energy to, like, be like, oh, well, this should be like this, and I wish this was this way. We don't control that, right? We're not God. So if it's not working out, it's not working out for a reason, and you just gotta sometimes be like, okay, throw your hands up, gotta take the wheel, and you can push it. And if you over here, you don't need to be trying to run this way. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
That's been, like, those, I would say those were always the hardest lessons I had to learn, because I was always someone that was very focused on, I like to bring people with me, right? I'm the person. I'm like, oh, well, there's an opportunity. Well, I know this person that can do this, and this person would love this, and this person can do, and I would always try to bring my people on board, right? It was just like, why would I support anyone else other than people I'm closest to if this could work in their favor? That's my mentality. It's like, we all win together. Boom, boom. We're all celebrating together. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
But not everyone thinks that way. And unfortunately, not everyone's always going to be, we talked about alignment earlier, right? Not everyone's going to always be in it at the same frequency as you at the same time. So that's when you start to hit some bumps in the road and start to be like, okay, as much as I would love this to be this way, I can't make this happen if it's not meant to happen, right? Learning that not necessarily everyone's meant to come with you, and that's okay, because they have their own journey, right? Maybe you're not meant to go with them. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that you can't wish everyone well and hope everyone succeeds, but we all have our different avenues. So it's like, no harm, no foul, right?
Right.
You have to kind of learn to be able to let go of certain things and keep pushing on in another direction and be okay with it and not condemn yourself for it. So it's been when they talk about doing inner work, it's actually work. You gotta really dig deep and really try to understand and still have that, understanding and compassion for others too. You know what I mean? To really understand how to kind of move around this world, because it's not easy at all. Like, at all.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That is,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's that shadow work that really
Yes.
sets the tone for us to be able to, like you said, deal with that imposter syndrome and tell ourselves
Yes.
that it's going to be okay, it's going to work out. Oh, I almost feel like I got a whole motivational, like, inspiring session. Like, I should be paying you for this session or something. That is great. That is great. But one thing that really did stand out to me is what you were saying about how, like we're taught this. I don't know if it's like a subconscious thing or it's very in our face, but we're taught that we have to be humble, and we can't.
Very.
Yeah, yeah, and like we can't, gas ourselves up and talk about the
Yeah.
great things that we've done and stuff. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to make these interviews, is to give women that platform to be able to toot their own horn, because this is the place to do it. I want other people to be able to see you and know what you're about and know what you're doing. Because I don't even know how we got in touch. I think it was Stefania knew you through dance.
Yes.
And then, yeah. Okay, so that's how it was, yeah. So I was fortunate enough to know Stefania, who knew you. So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious if you've ever done work with like what's it called? Dress for Success, or like any of those.
I know about Dress for Success. Have I worked with them? I don't think I have yet, I think that was also something that was kind of in the back of my mind. Like, I still actually received messages from them. I just think the timing just didn't link up, but that's something I've always thought about and would have loved to be a part of. Well, not would have, I would like to be a part of that, because that's very important, right? I know that, again, anything that kind of promotes, people kind of being their best selves and being able to kind of step into their lives more confidently. I'm always going to be an advocate for that. I'm always going to be on board for that. That's very important. So yeah, I would love to. That's something I definitely be able to, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I've actually considered partnering up with them to do some sort of project as a photographer for the women that
awesome.
through there. Yeah, so maybe it's something we can work on together and hit them up with
dope,
like yeah, that'd be super cool. It's always great to have a stylist in your back pocket. So yeah, I'll definitely hit you up. I am like the furthest thing from knowing how to style my own stuff. So yeah. So before we wrap up, do you have any questions for me or any last words? Anything you want to share?
No, I think, I just want to say thank you. I think that this is a really great platform that you're creating here, and I think it definitely is necessary. Like you said, people need to get comfortable with tooting their own horn a bit more. You know what I mean? Especially when you put the work in. It's nice to hear, and it's nice to just hear out everyone's stories, right? We all come from different walks of life, and it's always going to be inspiring to kind of hear how people have navigated that and come out the other end. You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful to just be able to say a few words and, just and to be out here and be recognized in that way. So thank you for that. That's really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure, honestly. And it was such a treat having you here and getting to know you better and learn your business, and all of it was fantastic. So thank you so much again. Yes, and I will be one of those people following you closely, watching what you're doing, and I can't wait I hope your gala event goes really, really successful as well.
Thank you. I know I'm almost on my dress. I've been working on it because, we just out here, just whenever I gotta go somewhere, I'm like, let me just make something. Real quick. We're doing that right now with my awesome seamstress. Shout out to her, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
That's it.
I'm excited. My parents are giving me my date, so I'm very excited to share that with them as well. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, so exciting. I love that for you. I love that. That is so great. I love that both of them are going to be your dates. That is so cool.
They have to. It's funny because my mom is she's always anytime I've done a fashion show, anytime I've done anything, she kind of just like, she just wants to be there, right? First of all, she's very much that girl, but she just like always like, she just wants to be part of it. She just loves kind of seeing the behind the scenes, and she's always trying to like help out. She doesn't have to be like, Mom, sit down, you don't have to work today. Like, I just want you to watch the show. She's like, no, I can hang out some hangers. Like, she's that kind of person. So she always wants to come and stuff like that. And my dad does too, but he understands like, hey, this makes your mom really happy, so she can be there, and I'll applaud you from the background kind of thing. But I know he does enjoy having those moments too, where he gets to kind of get see like, okay, she's out here, this show means a lot to her, or she's out here getting nominated. It's like I want to be able to sit there and be able to cheer for her. So like, and so I'm that's another thing I'm just really grateful for. 100%. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that for you. That's really nice. That's really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they cool.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. So until next time, it was wonderful. And I will also leave all your links and everything in the description so people can find your website, your socials,
awesome. Yes, please.
connect with you. Yes, definitely.
100%. Yeah, no, thank you again. And this is a blast, girl. We can talk for hours. I know you got limited time, girl, but we just need a glass of wine. We get to go.
I gotta say, like, it sounds like you have an accent almost. Where are you from?
No, every time I travel anywhere, I get the same question. They're like, Doug, where are you from? Like, you from out here? I was like, no, I'm born in Toronto. I was like, born in Toronto. I'm Asian, like my background. So both my parents are from Barbados and stuff like that. But yeah, I was born in Toronto, and I've lived here my whole life. But I very much because I do travel the States a lot too. They're just like, oh, I thought you're from down here. I'm like, no, not really. Like, so.
It does almost sound like you're from like the Bronx or like. That's what I'm getting.
Listen, why did I see just coming out because I was in that city so hard. Yeah, man. When I was so second, definitely felt like second home. Like it was
good.
They embraced me. It was really nice.
You're Bayesian. That makes sense too, because Bayesians have a thick accent. So your parents must obviously still have the accent.